podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Well, way up north where the air gets cold, there's a team called United, and you've all been told about the famous Devils all dress up in red. And they've got a new boss, and Jurgen's running scared. It's a Ralf Rangnick. Ralf Rangnick! It's a Ralf Rangnick. That's what I've spent my time doing in the last couple of weeks.
I was wondering, have you practiced that? I mean, you know, Paul's D-Mob happy because he's singing again on the pod.
It's been so long.
It has been a while.
It was knocked out of me over the years.
Yeah, and thank God the listeners say.
So, I mean, we've got two games to talk about and the announcement of
We do.
I mean, what frankly could not have been a more surprisingly sane turn of events. I mean...
I almost can't believe it, actually.
No.
If it was planned like this... It's a very sensible sort of process and got the right man in. And in fact, the most exciting bit might be what he'll do after this 6-month period.
Yep.
If it was planned like that. Of course, this is United and Ed Woodward and Joel Glazer. And he was probably the 18th choice and the only one who would take it. And the consultancy role will be making the tea for Joel Glazer or something like that. I mean, sorry to be the cynic.
No, but I think it's a really interesting one, and I think one of the things that Ed Woodward, the big knock against Ed Woodward, right, was that if he really wants to be the director of football, like he spent the last 5 years, way more than 5 years, nearly 10 years, playing football manager. Basically, like buying players and trying to be the guy that's thinks he knows what to do about the football side. What if Richard Arnold doesn't want to do the football side? What if he wants to get someone like he doesn't? That's not his vibe. He wants to make United a big successful business, and he's going to get people that know what they're doing. And this is not a pro Richard Arnold agenda. I want to make that extremely clear. But just if. So
when did you last meet Richard? Were you out for tea with him yesterday?
No, I've never met him. I think he tweeted me once. And I tweeted him back not a rude tweet, but I think he tweeted me with the hashtag GGMU, and I replied with the hashtag LUHG. Before that was co-opted by weirdos. I was just to be clear.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yeah, well, look, we'll see what it brings, but Michael Carrick, undefeated in his 2 games in charge.
Yeah.
Better than Giggsy. Although, same 50% win rate.
Oh, yeah, that's true, yeah. Was it the second game that Giggs lost?
I can't remember now.
No, me neither. It's a long, long time ago, isn't it?
That has been cancelled, along with Giggsy, in my brain.
Yeah, damn, yeah. Right, so let's talk about the kind of timeline of events since we last spoke. I think when we last spoke, we were talking about interims, and Laurent Blanc was mentioned, and
Oof.
I know... Darren Fletcher, which doesn't have the same level of despicableness to it, or, well, I mean, maybe it'll turn out one day that it does, because that seems to keep happening, but certainly that's not based on any inside information. I want to make it clear. I'm not accusing Darren Fletcher of anything at this juncture.
Are you saying Darren Fletcher's a wrong?
No, I'm absolutely not saying he is. I'm just saying I no longer have any faith that anyone
Unbelievable, Paul.
United
You're saying he does a lot of youth coaching, aren't you? It's
Come on. Don't.
Groans as good as a laugh.
You've gone too far there, Ed, again.
I mean, I think it's fair to say in football, and we'll get back to your actual point in a second, that, you know, the safest bet is to not assume anyone's a good guy.
Yeah.
I mean, when Juan Mata turns out to be a real wrong and he's got a dungeon in his Cheshire mansion, it won't surprise me one bit.
I didn't hear any rumours about the Rangnick thing until it was like, oh yeah, Man United are going to have, this is it, he is the guy. And it was just a work permit thing, which that by the way, made me really sad for a second. It's like,
quite.
Anyway, it's a work permit thing, and that'll be sorted now, and presumably he'll be officially announced, anytime now. And I mean, the 6 months of him as interim coach, I can't think of a better candidate. That's fine. But the thing that seems extremely sensible is that they're trying to get this expertise in-house and use the next 6 months to build something that is then built upon rather than jettisoned, which that's...
Exactly, yeah. And that's, I think we've talked about that a lot, haven't we? The structure of a club. And Rangnick is a great club builder. Hoffenheim, RB Leipzig... sort of Schalke, although he won't have fond memories of his one trip to Old Trafford with Schalke, will he? And, he's the kind of, not only just sort of sorry for the cliche, godfather of German coaching, but has proven to understand how to build a structure at a club that excels with what you've got. And, if he's given that license and some power, and you have to believe he will because Murta interviewed him, you have to believe that Murta doesn't have this overarching responsibility. Maybe he's going to get it. Maybe that's the consultancy bit. Rangnick has his own sort of football consultancy that he's only part-time with Lokomotiv Moscow.
Right.
So that might be that as well. We'll see how exclusive he is to United and how much time and power he gets. But it all seems far too eminently sensible. And there just hasn't been this in 16 years. Of Glazer ownership, we don't get
before.
This. Or before, and it was a different age, of course, wasn't it? But maybe United are finally modernising. Maybe. I mean, I'm going to take that with a little bit of a pinch of salt, like a bucketful.
But I understand why I understand why the commitment to cynicism runs so deep. I mean, I understand why, not least of which because to me there's a substantial chance that that's correct. But I do think if you look at what's happened in the last 2 years, they have visibly been trying to build a structure to put a structure in place, and there are limitations to that structure. But look where it's gone now. We're at the point where we're still being cynical, understandably so, when they've got the perfect guy in almost the perfect kind of with the perfect plan attached to it, I guess, depending on who is made head coach in some. Because if they get Rodgers in to pass the ball around and Rangnick's watching from the stands going, well, this isn't what we're supposed to be doing, that might be a problem.
No, and that's right. I mean, but that's true of all sort of elite clubs around Europe. The chemistry between head coach and sporting director has to be right. That's why Poch is desperate to get out of Paris Saint-Germain, because him and Leonardo don't get on. And if you had a sporting director or consultant like Rangnick, and who plays this sort of heavy metal vertical football, and then you get Rodgers or Louis van Gaal in to move it slowly side to side, or someone of that ilk. I'm not saying literally Louis.
I mean, that would be really funny if they got literally Louis in the summer.
How long do you think it would last? But I also, the thing at the back of my head that is sort of countering the cynic is that, Rangnick has a record. He doesn't want to spoil that. No. And you'd think that he would want assurances about what kind of influence he'll get, or maybe just like some money and do the consultancy gig and couldn't care less whether United do with it anything or not. I don't know. But anyway, it all feels more positive than we might have felt a week ago.
A friend of the show, Cal Gildart, said to me, in proof that nothing is impossible and everything may come to pass in the end, Manchester United are now the football hipsters' favourite, which is I thought an extremely apt point. If you looked at that, there was a tweet that Tom shared with us that was like 11 of players that Rangnick had signed, and it was just like, this is a football hipster 11 right here. This is loads of players that people who watch a lot of the Bundesliga tell you are really good. And I'm sure they're right. I'm sure that they are all really good.
Yes. I mean, the one graphic that's going around with, or in fact, I've seen this a couple of times, different versions of it, Emil Smith Rowe in there. I think that's kind of cramming him in just because he's flavour of the month now. He played 3 games on loan.
Yeah.
Not quite.
No.
A Rangnick discovery.
Not quite. I mean, it has been funny to watch the reaction. And, like, the Jurgen Klopp interview about it, I was just watching this going, oh, God, if I was Ollie, this would hurt. Because I genuinely don't think that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer even crossed Jurgen Klopp's mind while he was talking about this. But it's just like, yes, it's very bad news for all the other clubs that aren't Manchester United. And Nagelsmann, on the other hand, I think probably maybe did slightly more have Solskjaer in mind when he said, yep, it's going to be a lot different to what's been going on at Man United. And you're just like, oh, okay, well, all these guys who are super influenced by him clearly don't really want him to be in charge at United.
Well, or they feel comfortable enough that they can, uber praise him.
Like Guardiola with ... everyone. Mikel Arteta in particular.
Yeah, you're right. Anyway, I mean, did we see any influence of Rangnick in the starting 11 for Manchester United today?
It was clearly...
Dropping Ronaldo. You can't counter-press or gegenpress or any kind of press with Ronaldo in the team, and he was binned.
Yeah, for 60 minutes. And this is not an anti-Ronaldo thing. I think it was a real mistake to bring him on in this game. I think
it completely changed the flavour of everything. United were just really causing Chelsea some trouble on the break, weren't they, with Sancho and Rashford? I was going to say that's where the goal came from, but not quite, really. No. I mean, sort of.
Yeah.
But quite a few breaks where they were causing problems, and then that stopped. I mean, when Sancho left.
Yeah, worth saying in the interest of balance that United were completely atrocious in the first half of this game, where Ronaldo was nowhere to be seen. So he is not to blame for how staggeringly bad they were.
Well, the weird thing in that first half is, he's gone with a sort of 3 defensive midfielders, or three more defensive midfielders. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say Fred or McTominay really played as defensive midfielders as such, and I think the idea was that they could press, they could break up, which was true to a point. It's just they couldn't pass, and United couldn't keep the ball at all in that first half, and were under a horrendous amount of pressure as a result, and Bailly and Lindelof, well, they always looked like they were panicking, yet they defended pretty well.
Yeah, they were all right.
There's that thing in the back of the head going, no! When Bailly, does a Cruyff turn in his own box and then megs someone.
It's worth also pointing out that this game was extremely remarkable for the fact that Eric Bailly was the centre-back, and it was a different player that did an overhead kick clearance in the box, because it was Tellez that did it. And you're like, I genuinely assumed, I just was half not looking at the screen or whatever, and I looked up and someone was doing an overhead kick in the box, and I rewound it 3 times just to make sure it definitely wasn't Eric Bailly. It wasn't. I mean, it feels a little bit mean to do this, but I think part of the reason why they were panicking so much is just the spectacularly poor performance of Aaron Wan-Bissaka. He gave away the penalty, and then he also made an incredible point-saving block off Werner at the end of the game too. Although Werner, left to his own devices, probably would have skied it or whatever. But wow, he's in a really bad trot, isn't he?
For the whole season, yeah. It's. I'm not sure exactly what's going on, and whether a competent coach will be able to help him. But it feels like he's gone backwards. Because look, the criticism always was he doesn't offer much going forward, and he really doesn't. But the lack of positional awareness. There was one moment late in the game where a ball was floated from right to left, and he looked over 3 or 4 times and twisted around because he just didn't know where he was. Yeah. And he sort of and it's the penalty was soft because he's got unlucky. Thiago Silva's just got in front of him there, but it also kind of scans, doesn't it? Aaron Wan-Bissaka not knowing what's going on around him. Yeah. Not having that awareness just feels like Aaron Wan-Bissaka. So, and then ally that to terrible form.
It's a problem.
Yep.
And, you mentioned the one where the ball goes from left to right, and it's going towards Reece James, right? And I noticed exactly that same thing, because it was Wan-Bissaka in microcosm in that moment. There's just the kind of positioning and decision making. He made like 3 decisions in quick succession that were all wrong. He went the wrong way for the flight of the ball, was then immediately deceived by James, and then doubled down and got himself in the wrong position to block the cross as well. So, football's difficult, but and the wind is there and the ball, it's. You can make too much of a moment like that, but it did feel like a microcosm for his whole performance, I think.
It's worth noting that United were out without 3 of the preferred back 4, although...
Well, there's one of those that isn't in my preferred back 4, that's sure.
Quite. Shaw's had a tough time this season.
True.
Well, at least he's not as spectacular as he was last season.
He's been bad.
He's been bad. But, if Shaw's been bad, what has Harry Maguire been? Man... You want to take him out the back and put him out of his misery at times, don't you? And so him being out and suspended for how many games? Just this one, or did he miss more?
It was 2 yellow cards, wasn't it?
2 yellows, so it'd just be the one game out. So he'll be back next week, unfortunately.
It does feel a bit like that, though, doesn't it? Like, he's going to have a good hard look at himself, because, we talked about it last time, but that sending off was... really, really, really irresponsible under the circumstances.
Yeah. So look, we're picking apart a few moments, and there were quite a few moments. Chelsea had 24 shots in this game to United's 3. Yeah. And I can't even remember. I can remember one of them. I can't remember the other 2. Fred's chip. So we're counting that as a shot. Jesus Christ. So look, Chelsea had a lot of the ball, like 65% of possession. They did create chances. The XG's pretty high, and all of that. And there were moments where you just had hearts in the mouth whenever Bailly or Lindelof have to do anything, because you just don't trust them.
Sure.
Just don't trust them to get past the ball out of the back. Don't trust them to make the right clearance. Don't trust them to get in the right position. But actually, for most of that, they did do most of what they had to do.
Yeah.
And that's why United kept it down to 1.
One of the most remarkable things about the game was just the number of corners that Chelsea had and how little they created. The penalty came from a corner, but they had so many corners. What is it? You'd need 20 corners to make it likely that you were going to score a goal, I think. And they weren't too far off having that many corners. And United dealt with them really well, which, considering how bad United are at dealing with corners, is quite remarkable. And also, Harry Maguire wasn't there. That's interesting. But they did deal well with most of the pressure. I'd say that, the Werner chance where he tried to curl it into the far corner, curl it back into the far corner. That felt like the biggest chance. I haven't looked at the XG, but that felt like the player in the biggest space, kind of unmarked in the box out of all of their chances. But worth saying that, of course, United opened the scoring, and it was quite a remarkable goal. It's a shame Jorginho touched it in a way, because Bruno hoofing it from his own corner flag to get an assist would have been pretty peak stat padding.
It would 0.07 XG on the Werner chance. I think it's just because there's a lot of players.
Oh, okay.
A lot of players in between him. But yes, it's United's XG here is... like 0.02 in the first half, and if you discount Sancho's goal, 0.03 in the second half as well. Felt much better, but I guess, high XG for a one-on-one with the keeper 5 yards out.
Yeah, especially as you said before we started recording, especially with him having scored in midweek, that it felt like a goal that was earned in Villareal.
Oh, God, yeah. It was a lovely finish. We haven't talked about that game at all. Lovely finish from Sancho. And especially in real time, if you watch it, there's a camera angle from behind the goal, and you realise how quickly he set himself and finished it, because he was under pressure. And yes, you couldn't half see him doing a Fred and passing him back to the keeper if he hadn't scored that goal. Yeah. But I think that's helped him a lot. And I think he was pretty good today. Yeah. Or, given what he had to do. Yeah. He split the strikers wide. Bruno got into the sort of half spaces and, in fact, what almost looked like a false 9 at times. It did leave a lot of space between United's midfield 3 and the front 3, which caused a problem in the first half. And second half, Sancho and especially Rashford got closer to that midfield and allowed them to get forward. So... it got better after half-time. Yeah. For sure. Yeah, they made some changes. Michael Carrick, tactical genius, or he got on the phone. So I don't know whether Ralph's in a hotel somewhere waiting for his visa, like telling him what to do.
The funny thing is that the goal, United weren't playing better before the goal in the second half. They really grew in confidence when they were gifted that goal, and there was a couple of moments after that where you thought something might happen. My favourite thing about the goal is, well, there's two things. One, it's funny. It's a funny goal, and ultimately, what's better in football than a funny goal? So Jorginho is on his own. I mean, it's a fairly thankless task. You've got Rashford and Sancho bearing down on him, but he absolutely drops a massive clanger with what he does. Then Sancho picks up the ball, and Rashford's running along next to him, just keeps looking at him desperately trying to stay onside. But Sancho's not slow, but Rashford is extraordinarily quick. So it's like having to really fight against this kind of innate desire to run at this point. He's barely onside at any point. But Sancho doesn't need him at all because he absolutely sat Mendy down. The goal looks fine from the kind of main camera angle, but again, it looks absolutely brilliant in real time from the angle behind, because you see him sit Mendy down with the shimmy and pass it into the corner. It's brilliant execution.
Yeah, no, it's lovely, and Rashford's 70 yards out with a pitching wedge, playing a 3/4 shot, isn't he? And just trying not to get himself ahead of the ball. It's been one of the criticisms of Sancho that he's not expressed quick. I don't think anyone ever thought he was. He's not a flying winger. I know people just don't watch the Bundesliga, so they're really not that familiar with him. But he's just not that player. But look, good for him. I'm glad he's got a couple of goals. I hope that increases his confidence. I hope the new man coming in is good for him. I imagine he will be.
Yeah.
Just, not just linking things together because, played in Germany, German coach, but the type of football and stuff.
Yeah, and also just not weirdly weirdly misunderstood, because you would imagine that Ralf Rangnick has seen more of Jadon Sancho than, any of the United coaching staff in the last couple of years.
Yes. But anyway, you're right. United grew in confidence after the goal. Shame they couldn't keep it together longer, but the penalty was... look, Chelsea created a fair bit in this game and put United under a lot of pressure. It's not like they didn't deserve something from the game, but it was quite soft, unlucky for United.
Yeah,
it's definitely a penalty,
I would say
but unlucky.
It's unlucky rather than soft, isn't it? Because a soft penalty to me indicates that there's some doubt about whether or not, you've seen them given, you've seen them not given. I don't think I've ever seen these not given, except in a...
No, he's kicked him.
Yeah.
Look, there's plenty of people on Twitter complaining about it, but I don't understand what the ref could have done that was different. That said, Fred did get one that wasn't that much different in the first half for United, where he's bumped over. He threw his arms in the air and chucked himself to the ground. As all good Brazilians in big games do, if you haven't seen this one.
Oh my God. Could you tell us a little bit about the actions of Denison in was it the Libertadores?
Copa Libertadores final, Flamengo, so Andreas's Flamengo, against Palmeiras, and I'm right in saying that, and it was right near the end of the game, and Denison, he's got into a little bit of a pushing match with an opposition player, and then he's complaining to the referee about something, I think, and the referee pats him on the back, and then he goes down like he's been shot. It's just magnificent. Just magnificent. I'm assuming he's just not seen it's the referee that's patted him on the back and thinks it's the opposition player.
Yeah, clearly. It's so funny.
But the commentators, BBC commentators, absolutely lose the run of themselves. Quite rightly, I should add.
Yeah, it was.
No composure whatsoever.
Legitimately despicable football activities in that moment.
Oh, great. Just great.
Yeah.
If it'd been Ander Herrera, we'd be building a statue of him.
The Fred one, it's not like the guy kicked him, so it's not exactly comparable, is it? It's, that would have been, I think, the definition of a soft penalty in the way that this one wasn't, really. Thiago stayed down all the way through VAR, which is very 2021 footballer. This is...
Just to make sure,
you got to do it. So the only other thing of meaningful note in this game was just that Fred miss, I guess. Mendy passed it out to him, and Martin Tyler said, "Oh, is he giving away the game? Mendy gives away the ball. Is he giving away the game?" No. that was good. It was good commentary from Tyler, because Fred just gave it back to him. It's polite, really. It's sporting. You don't want to win it like that. You want to win.
Yeah.
That's too.
That was it. Yeah.
Too dirty to win it like that. You want to win it clean.
You can you can see the cogs whirring in Fred's brain, can't you? As the ball comes to him, it's like moment. It's his moment. It's an Eric Cantona moment. Chipped it into the top corner against Sunderland. Nope. And the horror on his face after he does it, given that there were two other players in good positions. Fred.
Those two substitutions, I mean, Sancho had to come off clearly because he was struggling. But when he brought Ronaldo on and then he brought Rashford off for Lingard, we just completely surrendered, didn't look threatening at all after that.
Yeah, I think it's okay to make that observation without it being some kind of criticism of the interim manager. I mean, I don't know whether Sancho has a hamstring problem, was kind of mooted, or he just felt something. He's not had loads of minutes this season, and Rashford is still returning to fitness, I guess. So, okay, but it did change the game completely. And I mean, I guess it's in the contract somewhere that Ronaldo has to play some minutes of every game somehow.
Like Fernandes.
But it's going to be so interesting watching this, because I just couldn't think of a player who's less the player Ronaldo today. I'm not talking about his whole career.
Sure.
Who's less a Ralf Rangnick player than Ronaldo. Just couldn't think of one.
Zlatan.
But you've got Zlatan. Yeah, well, same problem, right? But you've got an interim manager who may be taking up a consultancy position. We don't know if it's full-time afterwards. So, is already something of a lame duck, even if he's senior, respected, and all of that, versus a player with a lot of power, both in the dressing room, I suspect, and most definitely in the marketing organisation. That's going to be a really interesting dynamic playing out.
Yeah. We predicted 2 losses. I predicted
got that
2
wrong.
Losses, and
No, so did I. Yeah,
a win and a draw. So,
in fact, I predicted a loss to Villareal and a hammering against Chelsea. So yeah, got that wrong.
Yeah.
But look, credit to Michael Rangnick, Carrick. Whoever's done this. So played well in Villareal. I mean, eventually.
I didn't see any of this because I was working, because it was an early kickoff, wasn't it?
Yeah, recency bias, because honestly, it was they played us off the park in the first 45. But as Villareal do, without really creating anything at all. But United got deeper into that game. In the end, I'd say worthy of getting something at least. I'm not sure.
They were gifted the first goal, weren't they? It was a pretty shocking mix-up at the back. It was United-esque from Villareal.
Yes, and actually they've got a lot of composed players at the back, so it's unusual. But they've been having a tough time this season, actually, mid-table or lower mid-table in La Liga, and it's the lack of goal scoring that causes them problems most of all. Obviously, Gerard Moreno is not fit, and they just can't find someone to replace that. And didn't really create anything of note against United. Well, David De Gea made 3 saves in that first half.
Right.
Although 3 saves you'd kind of expect him to make, but still, 3 saves. And then United got deeper into it. And, the best moment was clearly Sancho. So, what was it? Rashford, Bruno with a flick just to get the stat pad his assists. Totally unnecessary. And Sancho into the top corner. And it was a lovely moment.
How was Van der Beek in this game? Because he was...
not as exciting as he was in Ollie's final game. So he did a few things, but didn't feel like he's... And, again, for the reductive analysis, sorry about that, but didn't feel like he's imposing himself on the game. He just doesn't. He's not that kind of number 10. He's much better as one of 3 in a midfield where he's sort of linking play. But he does that bit very well. I think, again, feels like he's a Ralf Rangnick kind of player.
Right.
Donny van der Beek, but not as a number 10, in a midfield 3. So, we'll see where that goes. So he did okay. Sancho did okay and then got a lovely goal and United did just about enough. So, but the two results were great.
Yeah. I mean,
we'll see whether we get an even bigger bump coming up with the new man. It wouldn't be a surprise, would it?
That Villareal result is of course massive because it means we're qualified for the Champions League. No Europa League in this season.
Just amazing.
Yeah.
Such a thank you. Thank you, gods of football.
Yeah.
So now it's qualified, and then you'd presume that United will beat Young Boys to top the table.
I would not presume that.
What one would presume?
Sure.
One may. Well, it would be fair for one to presume.
Well, didn't Young Boys beat Atalanta?
They got a draw with Atalanta. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
But still, at Old Trafford.
Where United
hopefully
so good. Okay. So let's presume that whether they win that game or not, it's a nice luxury to be going into the last game qualified, which it definitely
very much
compared to last season, it's a big deal. And I wonder whether that's one of the reasons they pulled the plug on Solskjaer exactly when they did, was just to avoid him, just to try and get that Champions League group qualification, which is a fairly lucrative thing, isn't it?
The stepped payments go up fairly rapidly, as does the pool payment. So yes.
And now we just have to try and avoid the Europa League next season. And a point against Chelsea in the current state of play at Stamford Bridge, even though kind of got to get it out of my head that we're always rubbish against Chelsea because we've beaten them 15 times in a row or something, or not lost to them for years on end. But like we went through all there was a Fergie bogey team, weren't they, Chelsea? But anyway, that point is a good point.
In the context, I mean, it's exactly what David De Gea said after the game. So, we don't want to be drawing, but in this moment, it's a good point. And I think that's right. Just something to turn it around. I mean, any dreams of challenging for the Premier League title are clearly gone, 12 points behind the leaders.
It's not that many.
I mean, yeah, I know, but it's like 10 points behind Liverpool and City, isn't it? So you three of them have got to fall. The wheels have got to come off the bus. Seems unlikely, whatever bounce we get. But, in the context, important point, new manager coming in, we think, this week. I mean, they've got until Thursday, until the Arsenal game. So we'll see if the work permit gets addressed. I think he gets plenty of points for Germany ranking and Bundesliga ranking. He gets enough points.
Right.
So, it's so strange. If he was American, he's not American, but if he was, he might struggle just because MLS ranking, US national team ranking, or whatever.
Sure.
It's the vagaries of this system doesn't reward the quality of the personnel you're trying to bring in, basically.
Right. Very weird. Anyway, the whole thing's weird. It feels very weird. This is a hugely contentious topic which upsets people tremendously. So
yes, well, talking of which, Brexit's Gary Neville said before the game, this is no way Carrick could drop Ronaldo. This has Rangnick all over it, or something to that
interesting.
effect.
Interesting. That's very disrespectful of his old teammate, Michael.
It was, wasn't it? It was rather. And Gary Lineker on Twitter challenging him, saying that's absolutely not true. So,
well, he would know, next door neighbour.
Exactly. He's called up Ed, hasn't he? He said, "What's going on?"
It's so harsh to call him Brexit's Gary Neville, isn't it? It's so ridiculously harsh.
No, that mantle's been taken up by Michael Vaughan, I think.
I believe he may literally have been overt about his feelings on this. He's just let's not talk about Michael Vaughan. There was an hour-long interview with Ricky Ponting on The Grey Cricketer, and Ricky Ponting comes across so well. He's like thoughtful, kind, like massively respected by all his peers, has this reputation for being like really accessible to young players and just like a great guy. I'm like, if you told me in 2005 that Ricky Ponting was super sound and Michael Vaughan was like a bad what's it would have really taken the shine off. Anyway,
we are the baddies. Yeah.
Miserable sporting figures aside, I mean, it's been a very, very positive week. I mean, you can obviously there's plenty of room for cynicism, but the results were good. Some of the moments of performance were good. Sancho's playing well, and there's a manager who kind of knows what he's doing coming in, and they're not going to waste that time. And it feels like, I mean, I could be wrong, but it feels like the thing that I was saying, which is I really hope they don't swing wildly away from the kind of positive direction and the nature of like trying to play dynamic football and, you know, all of the kind of things in the club culture stuff. And they haven't.
No. And I mean, what Rangnick will do, I think, is add to what Ollie's done. I mean, you can see that he's got a lot of players, Ronaldo aside, that would suit his style of football, I think. I mean, you might look at that central midfield and go, oh, not sure about that one. But I don't know, Fred feels like a Rangnick player.
Every manager in the world would look at that central midfield and go, uh-oh.
Yep.
Think might
make
have to
some
fix
weird
that.
Noise.
Yeah. But you'd think.
But yes, I think it will. Look, and I think some of the great stuff, because there's lots of content, because Rangnick was on the Coach's Voice conference recently and a whole bunch of other stuff where he's talked about philosophy and identity. And I love the two quotes. One is, you can't half press. It's like being half pregnant. You know, do it or don't do it. Which United were in the middle somewhere.
Absolutely.
For most of the time under Ollie. And the other thing is he stresses over and over and over again the importance of having an identity to what you're doing, understanding what you're trying to be as a team. And we didn't have that either. And, you know, it's just like in two quotes, he destructs the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era as a coach. But there you go. And, you know, and that's not to say that what Ollie said in his exit interview, which we talked about a lot last week, which was, I hope I've left the club in a better place, is not true either. It is.
You know, the identity that he gave, like the extent to which Solskjaer gave United an identity, and as a very brief side note, I thought it was lovely and not surprising just to hear loads of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer songs absolutely blasted out at top volume by the away end, which is not a surprise, but is nice.
An improvement from the V-signs they were giving him the week before.
Yeah, quite. But you know how football is. But it was a kind of clear message to him to say you're still who you've always been to us, you know, and that's nice. But the only identity that Solskjaer gave United was, this is Manchester United. You know, that's the only, he gave them an identity of like the stature of the club and what it means to play for the club and all of that kind of stuff. But he definitely didn't give them an identity on the pitch. And if you can combine the thing that he did give them with someone who does give them an identity on the pitch, you're now talking about a team that might actually come together and be more than the sum of its parts rather than less than the sum of its parts, you know.
And I'm sure that'll happen, and I'm sure that'll happen fairly quickly. Now, the thing that Rangnick has done throughout his career, club building, team building, he's not going to have time to do. Yeah, he's got enough time to make an influence. If you think about how short a time Tuchel had, I mean, he's got 6 months, Rangnick, but it's not something he's not going to be able to instill all of his philosophy overnight. He can do the basics. You know, they're not going to press as individuals anymore. It's going to be collective, and it's going to be triggered. And they've got players who can do that trigger, and it's not that difficult. It really isn't. And I'm sure he'll look at that defence and try and work a way of making that a bit more sound. And I don't know whether there'll be some tweaks to personnel or how far the fullbacks get forward or exactly how they play out of the back. But we'll see about that one. But you know, it feels like there's a path forward, at least, isn't there?
Yeah, and the club building stuff comes later, right? That's the 2 years on the end of it. That's where it's like, depending on the scale of that role, that's where we are looking at, you know, him identifying transfer targets and working with Murtaugh on building the club's infrastructure and all that kind of stuff, which, you know, that's the stuff that's really, it's football expertise. The missing piece of Manchester United's puzzle, they've imported some football expertise, you know, like not structural expertise. Like you said, club building, how you build a club. The other thing that I figure is it's more likely that we'd buy a midfielder in January than it would have been if Solskjaer was still in charge, because
Yes, and I hope that's really clear, and it is rather needed. All this talk is going to be rather funny, isn't it, if for some reason Rangnick either doesn't get his work permit or this was all paper talk and they can't sort out the contract with Lokomotiv Moscow or whatever it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Sean Dyche comes in as interim, or Steve Bruce.
That I mean, at this juncture, I would say the idea that this is all paper talk, I mean, something's gone really, really, really wrong in a lot of people's careers for that to be the case, isn't it?
Yes. So Thursday, there's a game coming up. It's a bit of an odd timing, isn't it? I don't know exactly why United are playing on a Thursday night.
I mean, is it? It's not. We're not in the kind of run up to Christmas fixtures, are we? No, we're a long way off that before it starts going really
2nd of December or something. Yeah, it's odd, but anyway. Sort of in form, Arsenal at the moment.
What did they do this weekend?
Recently. Beat Newcastle.
A
couple of goals to nil, so they are going up the table fairly rapidly.
Are they above us?
Yes. It's rather disturbing, isn't it?
Don't like that. Do I not like that?
They are 5th, which is, they are 5 points ahead of us. So... Can plucky Manchester United get anything out of a game with Arsenal?
I guess it's only on the Thursday because it's just the midweek round of fixtures has a TV game on the Thursday, right? That's the way these things work. And then United are playing again on Sunday, where we play Vieira's Crystal Palace at home. I mean, I goodness knows it feels impossible to predict because we don't know who's going to be the manager or, I mean, it's at home. That's nice. Under the lights, it's going to have a big game feel, you'd imagine.
It will do. And Arsenal are a kind of interesting side because they've gone so quickly from being an old side to a young side.
Yeah.
And an injection of a lot of, they played with Tomiyasu, White, Gabriel and Tavares at the back against Newcastle, which is, a complete change from last season. Tavares done well. I don't know whether he'll start this game or not. He's come in because what's his name? Scottish left back who's not Andy Robertson. Kieran Tierney has been injured and not quite fit. I mean, it's the story of his career. Tomiyasu is a summer signing. Ben White, obviously, we know a lot about, but younger player, and Lokonga came into midfield over the summer as well, and he's a youngster. So it's a completely different feel to it. It's very dynamic up front. They have a problem with both Aubameyang and Lacazette not really being in super form, but Saka, Odegaard, and Smith Rowe is quite exciting behind them. So I think it will be a challenge for United. I'd be interested to see what the balance of how United play, because they've given the ball away or not had possession of the ball for either of Michael Carrick's games. Sort of been happy to play that way and look to get something out of the game. So, but this one's at Old Trafford, not away. So will we be a bit more open, a bit more front foot?
Yeah, and I wonder whether the perceived threat is not, I mean, it's not on the same level as Chelsea, who are top of the league after all. But it's not like Arsenal don't have... I mean, Arsenal, Arteta is clearly imposing an identity on this team, has an idea of how they're supposed to be playing and what he wants that team to look like, and clearly what he wants the age profile of that team to be. And they are a starting 11 transformed, and they look a lot better and they're fun to watch. And I'm sure if you're an Arsenal fan, it's a pretty fun and exciting time compared to what's been going on recently.
Yeah, just 2 defeats in 15 games, and they were to Liverpool and City, both absolute spankings.
Yeah, they did get proper hammered by Liverpool, didn't they? I didn't see.
They really did, but that speaks to some level of form and progression, and yeah. So
what do you reckon the United starting 11 is going to be? Do you reckon Ronaldo starts this one?
I mean, you kind of assume so.
Yeah,
it would really say something if he didn't. Yeah. But they may move away from the diamond and go back to something that looks more like a 4-2-3-1. Yeah. Sancho's kind of earned his place in the side, though, hasn't he? It would be unfortunate for him. I don't know whether Mason will be back. He's had this bout of COVID. Cavani was apparently away during the international break trying to get fit. So, it'd be nice to have him back. Shaw's had concussion. I guess he is available. I mean, it's I'm not sure it was actually the protocol, but just being careful with him. He didn't play. Maguire will be back, assuming comes straight back into the side. Varane is still a few weeks away. So, plenty of players available. But, maybe we can assume something that looked a bit more like Wan-Bissaka, Maguire, Lindelof, Shaw at the back with, I assume, Fred and McTominay. Pogba's not going to be available for a while. And Donny could have earned a game if Carrick wants to be a bit more adventurous. We'll see.
Yeah, and we'll see who the manager is.
Yeah. Worth noting, by the way, that Bruno was dreadful again today. Nearly gave away a goal with that ball across the box, but has been dreadful for weeks. He wasn't very good. He didn't play. He didn't start in Villareal and came on and wasn't really that effective either. His chance creation, though, he's third in total chances created in the league, Premier League, first for big chances created. And he's got a whole bunch of assists. So even while playing poorly and 1 goal in 15 or something, by his very high standards, he's still putting up numbers.
Yeah.
So, and of course, Jurgen Klopp had the rules change on penalties, so he's not getting penalties anymore.
Boo. All right. Predictions. After Arsenal, we play Crystal Palace. So, I mean, we're not going to talk about that game. We've talked a lot about Palace on the bonus content this season.
Lost to Stevie G's Villa today, or yesterday.
Yep, in a sort of Premier League all-time great midfielder manager off.
Yeah, sort of.
Are you telling me...
Big time Charlie's a lot of them, to both of them.
You're so bought in that you're not giving Gerrard or Vieira all-time Premier League midfielder status. One of them never won it.
They're no Roy Keane, are they?
No, they're not. No, they are not.
Combine the two of them and maybe you'd get close.
You wouldn't get close to his medals tally, though, would you?
How many Premier League titles has Steven Gerrard got again? Just how many?
Let me think.
What is the square root of 0?
Well, Patrick Vieira hasn't got that many compared to United.
He's got
3?
Well, you'd have 3.
Yeah.
Vieira, yeah.
What's 3? Ryan Giggs has 13. No, sorry. Never mind. Move on. Let's all move on really quickly.
It's like counting how many Oscars Woody Allen's got. You can't not allowed to talk about that anymore, are you?
Sure. I mean,
he's not guilty until proven otherwise.
Yeah.
Ryan Giggs doesn't look good for the lad, though, does it?
It's not looking great.
Also, the guy in temporary charge is doing a much better job as Wales manager than Giggsy was. Robert Page.
Yeah. Right. So let's predict results for these 2 games that we don't know what the manager's going to be or who's available or, it's Chris.
There's 5 or 6 players we don't know about. And it's very hard to call, but I'm going to predict 2-2 against Arsenal because, and a 2-1 victory against Palace at Old Trafford.
I'm going to predict that we beat Arsenal 2-1 and draw with Palace 1-1.
Alrighty.
Thanks, everyone. Patreon backers, stay tuned for more content. 2 shows to go.
Yeah, content. Not good content, but it's content.
Yeah, exactly. It's there. We're going to talk for ages. All right.
Alrighty. Thanks, everyone.
See you soon.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.